open up your heart. I think that's the big one. Open up your heart, and don't be afraid to feel, because God is love, and what you will feel is so amazing.
Yeah.
And there might be a bit of tears to let go of the old, but letting go of the old is letting in everything incredible and eternal life and everything exciting.
Yeah. Everything worth
You're not
doing.
really letting go of anything. You're actually gaining everything. Yeah.
Call me, take me deeper than my feet could ever wander.
All right. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're back in the studio, back from South Africa. It's still just me, so I don't know where everyone else went, but I got my friend Maximus here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I don't really know you very well,
Yeah.
but from what I do know, I wish you didn't live so far away. We'll just put it that way. I think we can do some cool stuff together.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So I guess this podcast will kind of be your story.
Sure.
And then I have some questions just from the audience that I think would be fun to discuss together.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll start off with maybe just briefly, you can go in depth as you want to, but just where you came from, who you are, and kind of what God's been doing in your life recently.
Yeah. So from Colorado originally, around Boulder area, and I grew up, I'm the youngest of 8, and so I am used to a very big family, and when I was 7, my dad passed from cancer.
Oh.
And so from that point, that really pushed, I think especially our family, but my mom into, she had to provide for a lot of kids, and she hadn't worked before, and so she really had to figure things out, and I think everyone's faith was tested at that time, and we grew up Christian and everything, and she really just did an amazing job. I mean, tons of debt, tons of, she had to go to school while working.
Wow.
She would be at overnights.
Sounds like your mom needs to be on this podcast.
Yeah, seriously. No, she would
Dang.
she would be amazing. She is amazing. But yeah, she would be working during the day and doing school, and then doing overnights as well to try to provide, and trying to pull off selling things that like water rights that maybe we didn't own, or all these things, and basically a ton of miracles happened, and she was able to sell certain things, and we were just able to get by when we thought we might be living with our grandparents in California for a time. And so yeah, young and early, I was definitely, we were at home, went to a smaller house, and we were at home, and we wouldn't really see our mom that much during the day, and then our dad wasn't there, and so she would come by usually in the evening, make dinner, and then go to work. And so that was most of elementary, I think. And so it was definitely a tough time, but at the same time, I think my attitude through the time, I wasn't depressed or like defeated, and I thankfully I never lost sight of God. I always had just a knowing of God and a relationship with God. I think sometimes there was definitely distractions. I definitely got distracted at times, and obviously still am working to focus as much as possible. But I think, especially for our mom too, her faith is so strong, and so many miracles took place. And so now, our stepdad ended up entering our lives, and he's just a great guy. Made it so that she doesn't have to work as much. Now she works for fun part-time at the Hallmark store.
Okay.
And so she's doing great. She gets to do a lot of fun things, buy some fun things for her grandchildren and for us. She just has such a huge heart.
That's amazing. I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So has your definition of what a miracle is changed since, maybe you were younger at all?
Yeah, definitely. When I was younger, I think that I thought a miracle was just only something that was like mystical and like this unexplainable, and maybe like someone being healed, or being physically healed, or like
supernatural. Yeah.
And I think that's still part of my definition, but I think to me it now has so much more meaning with love. And a definition I really love of a miracle is a shift in perception from fear to love.
Okay.
And so I've seen so many
think
of
about
those.
that one.
Yeah,
Like
a shift in perception from fear to love. And like to me, that's just such a huge miracle, because that means we're moving closer towards God in our mind.
Yeah.
Because God is
Love.
love. And so that means we're moving away from unreality and moving towards God in our mind. I mean, so that's got to be the most powerful miracle. I mean, healing of the body and everything is great, but I think that comes from the mind and the heart moving closer towards God.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really cool.
And so, that's just, I think that's the best kind of miracle, the most fun miracle. And I've been able to see so many lately. And I feel like, in a sense also, I feel like, I mean, even every breath is a miracle. Like, I mean, the sun rising is a miracle, and we can
Us
expect
being here
them.
just at all. And
Exactly.
thinking these thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, every thought seems to be a miracle, especially when they're more in line with God, with love, peace, communion, eternal life. All those things, those great God things.
Yeah.
So yeah, my definition of a miracle has definitely shifted some, and I think it's just it's so amazing, and I think expectation is a big part of miracles as well. Faith.
Yeah.
Faith and expectation go hand in hand, or they're really the same thing. Is expecting, we have faith, something easy. We have faith that the sun will rise each morning. That's a miracle to me.
Yeah.
We have expectation that things will go a certain way. And when we have strong expectation and there's no doubt, and that's typically what happens.
Do you think expectation can be dangerous?
Yeah. Well, all right. I think that in God there is no danger, and in Christ there is no danger. But I think that expecting maybe fear could bring about things that could be perceived as dangerous. Or I think ultimately there's,
I think it's what you rely on for a certain like if you rely on yourself and you expect results from that, that's going to lead to expectations that aren't fulfilled. If you put your expectations on humans, oftentimes, most of the time, in some way, they'll betray you in a sense.
Right, or like the world, putting expectations on
exactly.
the world.
When you put your expectation in God, I think there's no danger there.
Yeah,
there's definitely
danger doesn't. It's like in Christ, danger doesn't.
And
like
danger is
death
fear,
doesn't
right?
exist.
So it gets taken away.
Exactly.
So okay, yeah.
I
guess it's what you put your expectation in that results in if it's dangerous or not.
Yeah, if it's love or fear.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of the choice that we're making with each expectation, thought, perception is love or fear.
So when I first met you, I mean, the way I kind of remember you as is this guy that makes high quality merchandise. And is very creative and does really cool designs. It's called Meridius, and I believe that's from the movie Gladiator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to kind of talk about that, but I just want to kind of preface it by the when you started it, when I met you, the slogan was essentially like create your own reality.
Yeah.
Correct? Okay.
Yeah.
And now it is expect miracles.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm moving towards. Yeah.
So I wanna hear the story behind how that perception or that change of focus happened.
Yeah. Just what comes straight to mind is Galatians 2:20, which that's I don't expect everyone to have that memorized or anything, but it basically says my old self has been crucified at the cross, and now Christ lives through me. And that's really just, I think, my goal is to embody Christ as much as possible and embody that love that Christ is. And I think that the biggest shift that I have seen from making that conscious choice towards living in a Christ-like way is love. And I think it just has bled out into every part of my life and continues, and it's like the best feeling ever. And I'm so excited for it to just get even stronger. But yeah, so before I had my clothing Meridius be create your reality. And so it was kind of along the expectation, the expectation and faith. But it didn't really have that love that I really want to put into it, and that Christed center of it.
It's more self-centered.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. More like a humanistic, like, I provide everything.
Do what you want.
Do it. Yeah. Kind of along those lines. I still wanted it to be, good intention, help empower others and everything. But, I think that it just, now I'm moving it towards, or something's moving it towards, towards, love and just a Christed center. And so expecting miracles is what I want it to be centered around. And I think that's just so much more powerful, because it's expecting love, and expecting love to come into our lives and our minds and everything in the world, really.
And overflowing
and Christ into the world. And so I'm very excited for that. I have some artwork I'm excited to put out, and I'm lucky enough to be at a really great school called Westmont College, small Christian school in Santa Barbara, or in Montecito, right next to Santa Barbara.
So yeah, talk about that. What's it like being in a Christian college that's like not just says they're Christian, but like actually has some sort of something's there.
No, something's definitely there. There's definitely a fire that's being kindled, and I think is going to is raging and beginning to spread, and I don't think it can be stopped, and it's very exciting. I think the best part is, like, 5 years ago I would not have the friends that I now have. They're so just loving and walking in faith. I wouldn't have expected people my age to have who live that way and in such love and in such a godly way, I guess. I wouldn't have expected them to live or be on earth, honestly, to 5 years ago, to exist. But I mean that began to build as I began to open up my own heart and open up my own mind. And I think that a big part of it was that they always were there, but I don't think I really saw it because my own heart was hardened, and to a certain extent. And so the friends I have there are just so amazing. It's such an amazing thing to be able to share with peers, and everyone, of course, but friends your age, going to chapel, going to doing Bible study, going on prayer walks, talking about God, and and then also having fun with God, and just everything that goes into that. And
having fun with God. Explain how that looks like.
Yeah, like I mean, I think it looks like just playing around. Like I picture two kids in kids in a field running around playing with each other. Like I feel like that's having fun with God. But I mean, what it looks like at college. I mean, we'll go to the beach. Anything. I feel like anything fun. It just bleeds into life. It bleeds into everything. And
it's a beautiful thing when you turn from religion to like relationship. It's not just on Sunday I'm going to go interact with God, but it's all the time.
Yeah,
through
exactly.
everything you're doing.
Everything. Yeah, and
And it brings a joy, and which
It-
can be
yeah.
perceived as fun for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It will be joyously meandering around the campus or
Frolicking.
yeah, but frolicking in fields, flower fields, picking daisies, yeah,
Yeah.
everything. But I mean, even just listen to music. I mean, I have a great friend who I was showing you some of the
The tunes.
he mixes and he's a DJ, and so I actually have multiple friends now who are doing it, and I want to get into it too. But it's mixing like dance music, electronic dance music with worship music, or preachers, having inspirational messages, whatever it might be, and just being able to mix that and like okay, we can you can have a lot of fun with God,
Yeah.
more fun than anything else.
Yeah.
And
And you're gonna have it forever. So that's a big
exactly,
bonus.
exactly. So it's so awesome, and it's only gonna get better too.
Yeah.
And so that's just I'm thinking of I want to have people in the prayer chapel maybe, and set up like a DJ booth or something. But then it's it's a really encouraging message of like a preacher talking on maybe like Galatians 2:20. Christ is now living through me, whatever it might be, and then just like dancing,
dance to it,
having
yeah.
fun. But then we also do like prayer walks in the mornings, or it's just so much. It's so amazing to have friends that you can just go to and say, hey, you want to go with this prayer walk at 6 a.m.? And they're like, yeah, let's go. Like, sounds fun.
Yeah.
Not like, yeah, we should probably do that because it would make us good Christians. But, or feel obligated, but that it's just fully voluntary and fully exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has something become harder since you have? I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like your past has been a huge contrast to what it is now, but stepping more into experiencing God every day through every moment, has something become harder in any area of your life, or more difficult?
I think that leading up to kind of the big flip in my mind of really living a Christ-centered life full of love, I think that leading up to that was somewhat, it was a difficult time. Things weren't going according to plan. Different, I think it just, how I was in my mind was kind of going out into the world and what I saw back, and it just wasn't really working. And so it's like something needed to change. And something didn't need to change. I think it was a choice.
Yeah.
But something, a lot was definitely telling me. And again, I always had this faith with God. I always had this relationship, but I think there was it was more of a background thing for some time, or maybe it's something that was distracted. And, I think having the word in your life is also, or in my life is a big part of it too.
Yeah.
I read the word a lot more now. I think that's a big part of having a foundation. I will say that as I move more in my mind and heart to just really working to embody Christ, is life is getting pretty fun. I feel like a lot of miracles are happening, but it's not like those aren't why. I want God in Christ, and they also aren't. I don't think they're they're the fun part. I think the fun part is the relationship, and then those are just kind of things working out and miracles happening. It's just kind of the byproduct.
Yeah.
The result, or just kind of like a side product of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
a lot of opportunities have opened up, and it's exciting. And I think the best part is just the relationships. I've been able to get so much closer to a lot of my friends and family, and just see a lot of miracles.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Has college been a big change for you as far as environment and stuff like that, or has it benefited you for the better, you think?
Hugely. Being around people who are also have similar goals in terms of faith is so huge. I think there's also something to be said about solitude and finding it, your own personal relationship. But I think would you agree that faith is kind of something we work with a community with? Like, it's ideally we're with a community that we can build.
No, look, we see it straight, like in Genesis when God created Adam. He's like, yeah, this guy can't be alone.
Yeah.
He created family essentially.
Yeah.
To fulfill that. We were never supposed to just be me and God.
Yeah, exactly.
That wasn't the design. It was us with God.
Yeah.
And that can be, not saying you have to get married or anything. I mean, you can see Paul like recommends against it sometimes. But like a body of believers is what we're designed to be in.
Yeah.
Like a community.
Yeah, exactly.
And where all of our talents and all of our skill sets can be harnessed into building the kingdom essentially and spreading love. And you can't. It's hard to spread love when you're just by yourself. Obviously,
no, definitely. You don't need to do it all on your own too. I mean, it almost feels like you don't have to do anything. It's like, Christ will do it for you.
You do have to let him though.
Yeah,
that's the hard part.
Definitely. I think that there has to be a desire for Christ. There has to be
boldness.
There has to be a desire and then an intention to let him in.
All those things God can give to you essentially are like, make it a stronger emotion. But like you have to ask him for it too.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Definitely. And you have to allow him in.
Yeah.
And then I think the fourth step kind of is to surrender.
Yep.
Surrender to
give up control
to the Father's will.
Yeah. I mean, it's like there's the analogy of like, God's a gentleman, right? He'll knock on the door. You got to open it.
Yeah.
He's not going to barge in.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I think that almost shows like his love is like he's not going to force anything on us, even his own love.
I mean, love is not love if it's forced, right?
Exactly.
It has to be given and taken out of the other person's, will.
Yeah, exactly.
Desire, essentially.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you think we asked people on Instagram if they struggle sharing their faith and why? We got a lot of responses, and a lot of them boiled down to, I don't know enough. I feel like I don't know enough to, give it justice.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to be judged. We could read through them later, but there's a lot, and I think I want to keep bringing this up in future episodes because I think it's such a huge thing for our generation. We keep Jesus to ourselves in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And so I want to ask you, like, have you struggled sharing your faith? Do you struggle sharing your faith? And kind of just talk about why and maybe anything that's helped you.
Yeah. I mean, well, first off, something that stuck out was like, I don't know enough to speak on it. I mean, isn't like a big, we were in service today with a part of the gospel is wonder,
Yeah.
Awe. Yeah. I think that's an amazing part of God is that awe, that wonder that, like how could we know God, which is unlimited and or so just
vast,
so vast, that I mean we can know, but it's like it's never ending. What we can find out and learn and get closer. But yeah, I think what was the second part of that is just
like what have you learned? Like, have you struggled personally? Sharing your faith?
Sharing it. Yeah, I think in especially like first semester or I just finished my second semester. And first semester of my college, and I think before that I did struggle. I wanted. Luckily enough, I have, I was able to fall upon some or get some followers some on TikTok and everything, and for whatever reason, and I part of me wanted to start speaking on things that to me felt a lot more important than I would do like drawing videos, and I'm like, all right, well maybe I could draw with like biblical things or like love or something, or talk about it. And in the past that was scary to me. And I think that's because a lot of my mind and my life was not centered on Christ, centered on God. So I think the scary part was like the rest of me that was not living that. And now it doesn't feel as scary. I don't post as much, but I put out like a video on like drawing God, the weapons of God or something. It's like truth, love. I don't know the exact verse, but just for fun to try to put it out, and it just feels correct. It feels correct to share. It feels exciting to extend what I'm finding. It feels exciting to extend the love.
If you're explaining to someone that doesn't know you, like, what is the thing you found, would you say? How would you explain it to someone?
Love, Christ, and I think that learning more about Christ is a huge part of it. Learning more about what Christ has done and is doing and is going to do is a big part. And then building that relationship, letting that in, expecting to get closer to Christ. Yeah. Expecting to get closer to God, the relationship with, the Father. Like we were talking earlier, you were saying how like the Father's will is better than anything we could imagine, and if we just submit to it. Yeah. I'd like to hear more from you about that. I mean, that's just so awesome.
The surrender aspect of it.
And maybe your relationship with like Christ or the Father as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, so I was in South Africa and I was on a jog. My mind was just thinking about, I was worried more about earthly relationships.
Yeah.
And as I'm running, I'm like, why am I worrying about all this stuff? Like, this doesn't really come close to if I put this much thought into my relationship with Jesus, like how far would I be right now?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I made that switch of like, okay, I'm not even going to think about those relationships right now. Like, I think it's important to think about relationships, but which one's your priority?
Yeah.
And so I put Jesus on the top priority for that run.
Right.
And when you make that decision to be like, okay, this is the most important thing, what does he have to say about me? And what do I think about him? And how does that dynamic, like, it's a kind of a conversation. And I start questioning, like, God, why can't I just hear your voice, like, so much? Like, I want just, like, make it clear. Yeah. Because sometimes it's so hard to be like, I was kind of complaining to him, like, why do you make it this hard? Like, I know enough I can't deny you, but, like, just give me answers to things that I want answers for.
Yeah.
And so I started just, like, thinking back through my life of, like, where have I heard or felt God? And it all of a sudden just became so clear of, like, I had this idea of, like, using words is the best way to get a message across.
Yeah.
But then I started to realize, like, the message that he gives me and has given me was not through words. And obviously a lot of it was through the Bible and stuff. But the stuff that I feel and the stuff that he makes me feel and the joy he gives me and the wisdom he gives me is so much more than just hearing a voice.
Right. It's kind of like the heart.
It's the feeling. Yeah. It's like, and the joy and the peace that comes in situations where no one should have joy and peace.
Make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was a big switch to just, like, give those things to God and he'll take care of it. And when you do give those to God.
Did you see a change in the relationships you were thinking before?
And the problems and the kind of things I was worried about, that when I was back from the run, like, literally the conversations I had with those people I was worrying about, everything was solved.
Yeah.
And so it goes to show, like, when you give it to God, he'll take care of it.
So, like, everything was just solved right when you got back.
Exactly. And
that's so awesome.
And it's the same with finances too. Like, you can worry about money, you can worry about all these things, but when you give it to God, like, okay, I'm going to prioritize the things I know I need to do. He takes care of the rest, and just crazy opportunities will happen at the end of the week that just provide for everything else.
Right. Yeah. Miracles.
Yeah, exactly. So I think did that answer your question in a sense?
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's so huge too, because, I mean, I didn't grow up in the Word as heavily as some of my classmates and friends. But what they're sharing with me and how how awesome it is to worship with and everything is, they're saying that, or some of them have said that, like, they grew up in the Word and the kind of the thoughts of God, like understanding all of the thoughts and everything, and they're like, all right, I understand, it makes sense, I know God. But then they're saying, like, they didn't realize until they were in college with us, like, or until certain experiences happened in college, whether it was worship or they happen in any parts, or maybe you're just walking down the street, but these experiences where they felt the Spirit and they felt God, and overcome with tears or whatever it might be, or joy, and it's like I think that's such an important part, is opening up the heart. And something that I also loved from the service today, in the church service, they said resensitize. Like it's time to resensitize.
How do you define that word, do you think?
Well, there's desensitize, which is like watching. We were talking about entertainment and watching all these, watching movies on like sex, drugs, all the extremes of like
culture
flesh.
makes us think it's normal. Yeah,
and it's like it just seems normal, and taking holy things and making them
unholy,
sure, and making that seem normal. Resensitizing is like opening up your heart to feel when you see those things, that when you see something sacred, it you feel it. And when you see something maybe like a futile attack on something that's sacred,
evil essentially,
that you also feel that. You can feel in relationships. I felt it so much more. Recently I've been crying like a lot. It's like. And it's really good. It's like mostly tears of joy and just like tears of thankfulness. And I'm so grateful that I'm like, my heart is being opened up in that way. And I want it to be opened up even more.
Yeah.
And I think that's just such a powerful thing, is to be sensitive. Like that is so powerful, because I think that's how God kind of speaks to us, is in one way is speaking through feelings, like you said, speaking through how much can we feel?
Yeah.
If he speaks to us through feelings, like we were talking about, then how much can we open our hearts to feel?
Oh, wow,
how
cool.
much can we listen?
Because culture makes us feel less.
Right.
And how do we learn how to feel more?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's a really cool perspective.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think to kind of wrap this up, what type of advice would you give someone that's around our age that is, there's so many different places where people are in, and so many different journeys and how far they are in the journey, but like advice that helped you a lot, you think, like get where you are now?
Yeah, I think learn more about Christ. You have that desire, have an intention to learn more and allow more Christ into your life, and surrender and build that, open up your heart. I think that's the big one. Open up your heart, and don't be afraid to feel, because God is love, and what you will feel is so amazing.
Wow.
And there might be a bit of, tears to let go of the old, but letting go of the old is letting in everything incredible and eternal life and everything exciting,
everything worth
you're not
doing.
really letting go of anything. You're actually gaining everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
That's cool.
We did.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And knowing, like, learning about God is the first step to knowing him, I feel like. It's like a relationship. Like, you got to learn about someone before you can know them. Because the ultimate goal is knowing Jesus. That's
that communion.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Maximus, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks for having me, bro.
That was amazing.
Yeah, that was fun.
think in the years to come, we'll do some cool things together, hopefully.
I think so too.
Is your clothing brand active at the moment at all, or?
It's sold out right now, and then and the website's off for that reason.
Okay.
But I'm going
I'll leave it below in case the future episode or something, or in the future when
Instagram.
someone watches this, they can.
And then I'll be
Instagram.
putting more stuff out on that.
Awesome.
So
Beautiful.
Very excited about that.
It's very high quality. I wear it a lot. It hasn't ripped or anything. All right, guys. That being said, like, subscribe, go follow us on Instagram.
Smash it.
Smash everything. Except for the subscribe button. If it's already subscribed, don't touch it. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Jesus is a friend of mine. Jesus is my friend. Jesus is a friend of mine. I have a friend in Jesus. Jesus is